Welcome to the WiEA Pod. Each week we bring you new stories, episodes telling the experiences, the adventures, and the lives of some of the most incredible members of our community. And this week is no different. Thank you to our sponsors, Digital Sparks, who are bringing so much incredible content to so many agents across our industry. We could not do this without you. Welcome to this week's episode of the WiEA Pod. Today's guest on the WiEA Pod is a very good friend, a former board member from WiEA, an unbelievable queen of reinvention, a fantastic trainer, and just a wonderful human being. I think you know who I've got. Please welcome Clare Yates.
Wow, thank you for that.
Live up to that.
I don't think I can. Okay. Well,
It's all true.
thank you.
Clare,
That's so
thank
kind.
you for joining us. I did mention that you were on the WiEA board for a number of years and you've contributed hugely to what WiEA has now become. So first of all, thank you for that. And thank you for coming to join us to share a little bit more about your story.
It's an absolute pleasure, and it's been a privilege to be part of the board. And I suppose it's regret, but also pride that my job has gone really, really well, and so it's difficult to give the time that I need to the board. But I'm still there, as you know, in the background, trying to do what I can.
You're still facilitating and training our leadership training courses as well, which are a really key element of what we do.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about you. So we've known each other now for a number of years, Clare, and the more I talk to you, the more I get to know you, because you've got, I would say, a lot of content in your life in terms of the things that you've been through, the experiences that you've lived through. But I know somebody who is massively important to you and somebody who I believe and you believe has formed the person that you are today. So I think we should really start there. So let's go back and talk about your lovely mum.
Yeah, my mum, Margaret Lister, I think actually I was born to be an estate agent.
How ironic is that?
I know, with a surname like that. Affectionately known as Poppy all her life because she was born on November the 11th. My mum was quite an extraordinary woman, hilariously funny, always wanted to be an actress, but also a brilliant artist. And her first job actually, just as she met my dad, because she'd served in World War II in the WAF, where she met my dad, who was in the RAF.
So glamorous.
Yeah, and she couldn't believe how handsome he was, and he couldn't believe how hilariously funny and entertaining she was. Anyway, they had this wonderful romance, and they get together. And my father goes to work for Marks and Spencer's just at the time that Mum was informed she got a job as a cartoonist with the Daily Mirror.
Amazing.
But because his career required mobility and to go all over the place, she couldn't fulfil that. So she decided that she'd go on the stage. And my mum, everyone that met her just adored her. She entertained my friends. My friends would come round to see my mum, even if I wasn't in.
Amazing.
They would just come round and have a giggle, and she just loved life. And
I want to be that mum.
Yeah.
I want to be the mum where my daughters, my sons' friends come to chat to me. That's an amazing accolade for your lovely mum.
So, and she loved to travel and do things. We had a caravan as kids, and the shock to me, 1976, because I'm really old, 1976, Mum had a stroke. It came out of the blue. She was just 52. We were away in the caravan for a weekend in the Forest of Dean. This is before mobile phones or anything. So my dad had to go a mile down the road to a phone box to call the ambulance as he realised what had happened. I didn't know what a stroke was at 15. I don't think many 15-year-olds really do. But Mum had had a massive brain hemorrhage, and she lost all feeling down her right side. And for a while she lost her speech. And they told us very gently, we don't think your mum's going to walk or talk again. And I was just devastated. And we had to grow up super quick. My younger sister and I were both at school. My siblings, I'm one of 5, they were all at university. So they all came home, and we just have looked at Mum, and you could just see there was this look in her face. I'm not going to let this beat me.
Don't underestimate me, right?
Within 6 months, she had dragged her leg to the point that she could walk without a wheelchair, because she didn't want a wheelchair. She started bimbling around, and very quickly she got her speech back, thank goodness. She went back on the stage in amateur dramatics. Her first car, that she started driving in was a Maserati.
Oh my God.
She's travelled all around the world and made a huge impact on people all over again. And I'm so, so proud of what the woman that she became. And she went on to live till she was 89.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah.
just extraordinary. And everybody continued to love her just as she was. She never lost that personality. And I didn't think, well, it was a bit of a shock. Obviously, I had to grow up super quick at 15. And I wondered what life was going to do, because people say things happen for a reason. So imagine my shock. My husband, Adrian, on his 52nd birthday, had a stroke right in front of me, and I knew exactly what it was. And I was able to call the ambulance while sitting right in front of him.
So you could tell the symptoms whilst they were
I
happening.
knew
You
exactly what the symptoms were.
Because I'm not sure I would.
So it's fast, it's face. I can't remember all of this, but it's face and speech.
Yeah.
And time is absolutely critical.
Yes.
But Adie's face dropped, and 1 minute he was talking, and the next minute he couldn't actually articulate anything. And he just started to shrug, and I realised with horror what had actually happened.
Yeah.
So Adie had a blocked carotid artery
Right.
through cholesterol.
Right,
He had an undiagnosed condition. So we managed to get the ambulance that came within 20 minutes.
Amazing.
We had Adie in hospital within an hour, and they did this clot-busting treatment in Oxford, Radcliffe Hospital, and they brought him back. So 1 minute he's gone in and he's not speaking, and he's completely paralysed down his right side. And the next minute he's going, excellent, and he's talking. And he was discharged from hospital 3 days later.
Phenomenal.
And we've gone on to have an extraordinary life.
And we'll come on to talk about that in a bit. But by the signs of it, the fact that you could see what was happening, you acted quickly, you got him to hospital quickly, probably saved his life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there was some meaning to what happened to Mum. I was very angry about it for a while. Why my mum?
Yeah.
Why did she have to go through this? But actually, not only did it make her a much less selfish woman and an extraordinary and very positive impact on me,
Yeah.
But also helped me to be able to save my husband's life.
Yeah.
And it did save his life.
That's amazing. And you don't realise these things when they're happening at the time, do you? It's
No.
hindsight is 20/20, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I wanted to start there, Claire, because I think that's a really good backdrop for understanding the person and the woman that you are and have become over the years, because you have had a huge amount of challenges, setbacks in your life. But let's not start there. Let's start. So you've jumped into a number of different careers or sectors in your career. You started out as retail. You mentioned that your dad worked at Marks and Spencer's. I also spent time in Marks and Spencer's, which I love. But you also spent time at M&S, so you spent some time in retail.
Yes, I was a junior management trainee. I was in love with somebody unsuitable. But my father...
That old chestnut. We've all
so
been there.
I didn't go to university when I should have done.
Yeah.
And Dad was cross, so I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll join M&S early because I was going to go as a graduate.
Yeah.
So I went into M&S, and the first office they sent me to, because my dad was in the business, so they sent me into Poole in Dorset. I didn't drive, didn't have a car.
My.
It was a bit chaotic. They were doing it to break my relationship up, interestingly,
Okay.
because they thought it was not good for my mobility to have a boyfriend.
Permanent boyfriend, yeah.
So they sent me to Poole in Dorset, and loved my time down there. And then they sent me to Basildon in Essex, which is my second
Shock
one.
to the system.
That triggered my resignation, actually. Nothing wrong with Basildon to anybody who's watching, but for me, it was as far away from Cardiff, where I grew up, as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And I am so old, the M25 wasn't even there.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, so we had to do the whole North Circular Road and then all the way down the A127. So it was a gruelling trip.
Yeah, it is.
Boyfriend stayed. He absolutely stayed through that whole process, but I had to leave.
Wow.
It wasn't for me, but I've still got friends from that time. It was wonderful.
It's a special place.
Yeah, and living away from home at 18, quite
amazing.
scary.
Yeah, great opportunity though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So M&S to insurance, I went to work for Eagle Star, which is now part of Zurich.
Yeah.
And I became the first female life rep on the road. Never had a female with a sales position before, so I was super proud of that.
Yeah.
And that's when I met the next unsuitable bloke.
Bit of a habit forming here, Claire.
It's a lot of habits. It's a lot of serious. So this chap
ended up being your husband.
This ended up being my husband, and he got relocated to Witney in Oxfordshire, which is where we now live.
Where you now live, yeah.
And he, I just thought I really think I should go. Old-fashioned Claire, with mum and dad in mind. Thought I'll go with him. So I gave up my job, and I wanted to have a family anyway. And I went to work for in brokers. And not long after that, we got moved again to Rochdale in Lancashire,
Yeah.
where my 2 eldest sons were born in Burnley
Oh,
General
I didn't
Hospital.
know this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we were supposed to be transferred out to Turkey, and then the Iraq War broke
Yeah.
out. My ex-husband was an industrial chemist.
Okay.
And then we were sent back down to Whitney again, where my youngest Reese was born. So I had 3 boys in 4 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
It was very unwise, I think, initially, because I hadn't thought about having 3 boys, all under school
Well,
age.
you can't predict it, can you? It's not, they don't come by order.
I wouldn't change any of it.
Yeah.
I think my proudest achievement ever is being a mum, without a doubt. And my boys
Closely
are my
followed by
blood.
grandma, though.
Very closely followed,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Grandma to 3 girls now, which is equally funny.
Ironic, yeah.
So insurance to estate agency was what I did as a part-time job to try and earn money to put shoes on the boys' feet because we needed it.
Yeah.
And so I started off as a part-time weekend receptionist, working for Cornerstone Abbey National, doing
Wow.
the books in the morning
Yeah.
and showing people around property in the afternoon.
Yeah. And that's a nice combo.
Yeah, so that's how I got into it.
And when you came to estate agency, was that, or property, I guess, in its widest sense, because I know you span the widest sense of the sector, was that something that when you got involved in it, you thought, oh, this is somewhere I could stay, or did it just kind of happen by accident?
Do you know what? I hadn't, it was totally by accident. And then I found that I was actually really good at it.
Yeah.
And I remember my boss just turned around and said, you'd realise that you're doing naturally what we try and train people to do over years. And I was doing features and benefits and talking and selling to people in a very comfortable way without realising that actually that's what I was born to do.
Yeah.
So it didn't take very long. Unfortunately, Cornerstone Abbey National, for those people who know their history, that got sold. And I got made redundant, but I went to new build and I did holiday cottages.
Right.
So I've had a really diverse experience within that property, and it was there that Chancellors found me and said, when I was in new build, and said, "Come and work for us."
Right.
And a very good meeting with James Scott-Lee. So James again saw something in me. So even though I was working part-time, he discovered that I'd worked from home and that I understood that process. And so he put me forward for a job with a company called Live. And in 1998, Live were the first no sell, no fee fixed price conveyancing service out there.
So this was your then jumping the fence into the conveyancing law side
Yes.
of property. Okay, and that was working for Rob Sendall at the time.
I was working for
Yeah.
Rob Sendall. I joined when they had just 100 branches, and it was mainly Chancellors, Blundells, and I think Taylors and Romans. That was it.
Yeah.
And I had to visit each branch with a bag of donuts.
Donut Dolly, was it?
Donut Doris, yeah.
Doris, yeah.
And they just have a laugh and a joke at my expense usually. But that job just grew so that by the time I left 4.5 years later, I'd personally delivered donuts to over 2,500
Wow,
branches.
that's a lot of donuts, a
It
lot of
was
calories.
An awful lot. I can't eat them now. I can't even look
I
at a
could
bag of
imagine,
donuts
yeah.
now.
Funny. So you stayed then in the legal sector for how long?
Well, I haven't really left it.
Yeah, yeah, but in a different guise.
Yeah, I think I had a brief period where I did work for a software company, but I discovered that's one thing I really can't sell.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even remotely interested in systems. In fact, 3 people have said, don't ever demonstrate our system again.
Harsh.
It's shocking. I'm
Yeah.
really bad at it.
Okay.
So yes, but mainly because the lawyers were part of that legal service that we recommended, and the agents insisted that the service had to be as good as they'd promised their clients.
Yeah.
A huge amount of it was going backwards and forwards between estate agents and lawyers and keeping the peace.
Yeah, yeah, of
because
course.
as you know, it's still quite fractured.
On a daily basis, I see it, and it's so sad that there is this conflict between conveyancers and estate agents that is not helpful.
No, but lawyers realised that I could help them to communicate in a better way
Yeah.
with the estate agents and vice versa. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it went. And yes, and my days on the road started, and I've been literally on the road, I think, non-stop since 1998.
Wow, that's a long time. A lot of hotel rooms.
An awful lot of hotel rooms, a lot of fun as well.
And okay, so that then, I guess, led you then to setting up your own business. When did that start?
2002, so I left working for Rob. I was desperate to I don't know whether it was just recognition. I enjoyed the training side of it so much. And again, it was other people seeing it in me. I'm not very good at recognizing what I'm good at. Other people are very good at telling me, and I do listen. And Russell Manning, who's been a huge influence on mine, a very positive one, he said, you should set up a training business along with a couple of lawyers. So he helped me get that business up and running. So on and off since 2002, I've been doing freelance training.
And great. And I think from A, I've seen you train. B, I've had feedback from other people who you have trained. You have found your calling. Like that is what your sweet spot is for sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
I do. And dialing up a bit of mum in it, because I have fallen asleep in so many training sessions that other people have delivered to me. So I try and make mine humorous, entertaining, very self-deprecating. The biggest fool in the room has got to be me.
Yeah.
And fessing up and saying, I did this, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
And then people just relaxing because they realise that I'm not asking them to be something that I've never been, you know. But I do love it. I love putting on a show and making sure that people have enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, amazing. And you're absolutely right. The one thing that people talk about all the time is the humour that you bring to learning. And it has to be enjoyable, right?
Yes.
And I think you do that really well. Okay, so that's a bit of an overview of your career. I want to delve a little bit deeper because underneath all of that kind of career journey, there's been a lot of personal milestones that have happened along the way. And the fact that you've been able to have such a fulfilling and full and varied career, as well as all these other things going on in the background, to me is quite impressive. So let's start with you're a mum of 3 boys. You were in a marriage that it wasn't a happy one.
No.
It ended up not being a happy one. And I also know during that time, Claire, and you've talked about this on stage at the WiEA conference, the very first one, very, very bravely, you suffered sexual harassment during that period as well. Would you like to talk a little bit about both of those things, I guess?
Yeah, so this was actually back in the Cornerstone days, and the guy responsible, and it was actually rape, who raped me. He is no longer with us. He got killed in a car crash, which is probably the best thing that could have happened. He took advantage of not just me, but I know other female members of staff who needed the money for their families.
Yeah.
And he would basically use our commission as a weapon to get what he wanted. In my case, I was locked in an office as we were closing it down because we were shutting that office. I had no way of getting out and I had no transport home. So he raped me in the office, and then he raped me again at his house where we were taking the money for the Abbey National for safekeeping before dropping me home. The hardest thing about that, I didn't think that anyone would believe that I hadn't agreed to it. My ex-husband drank a lot. He didn't come home till later. I had to get my kids from the childminder. I couldn't obviously go to the police station. I couldn't see any way that I could ever. But later on, I found out how many women he'd done the same to.
And this, unfortunately, has become a common theme for abusers who prey on vulnerable women, vulnerable people, whether that's children, women, or whatever, and they rely on the fact that they wouldn't be believed or they don't have the confidence to talk or to speak. And and this is not just happening in our world; it's happening in celebrity world. We know the Me Too movement is huge, but it is absolutely appalling that you had to suffer that, and it took a long time for you to talk about it.
Nearly 25 years. Yeah. And it was only during lockdown, and I was so I had a breakdown in 2019, a complete nervous breakdown, and there was a whole list of reasons why, which probably we have never got enough time to talk about.
Yeah.
But so much bottled up, so much frustration, trying to combine my marriage breakdown, my kids, my career, my money, everything else. It was all boiling up. So I had a proper breakdown and I just couldn't function. Oh, and menopause, which,
of course, yeah.
And I had to go and see a counsellor, and she was talking to me about my attitude towards men. And I'm not ashamed to say this, I have this attraction for narcissistic men. I find myself being drawn to people who then have power over me. And she was asking me a bit more, and all of a sudden this memory came, and I just blurted out and said, I was raped. she's...
And had you pushed this so far down that you'd almost forgotten that it happened
Yes.
yourself?
Yes.
Because in order to survive, you had to.
Yeah, it didn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't that it didn't happen. I just couldn't.
Yeah, it was in box over here somewhere. Yeah.
Couldn't tell anyone. I never told anyone.
Yeah.
And so she said, right, we need to talk about it. So eventually I had enough courage to come home, and I told my sons because I thought it was important they knew, and they were devastated naturally.
Of course.
And then I spoke to a couple of really good female friends in the industry, and that's when I discovered, to my shock, just how many people I knew had either been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed in the workplace.
Yeah.
And actually, for many of us, been given settlement agreements to silence us as well.
Yeah.
So some of the perpetrators, some of them are still walking in plain sight.
Yeah.
But they've been able to do it. For me, I think it's really important that we talk about it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't go and get help, and that's your choice, it's always got to be your choice whether you want to go and have some punishment meted out. I think it's important that we talk about the fact that it wasn't my fault. It wasn't what I
Absolutely.
wore.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I said.
You weren't asking for it.
No, that whole thing. Yes, absolutely. And there's still people who go around and say this sort
Yeah.
of thing. And there is never a situation.
I still see it today on LinkedIn. I see it if someone is wearing a low-cut top. I see people commenting to say, you cannot dress like that. You're asking for it on a professional platform. I mean, shocking.
It is absolutely shocking. And I think right now, with the stuff that we're starting to see on the adolescents, for example,
Yes.
that we're starting to see this rise in even worse behaviour towards women. So it's got to, we have to keep talking about
We
it.
absolutely do. Yeah.
And certainly now, as the mum of 3 granddaughters, but also raising 3 sons, I made it very clear to my sons how to respect women and how
Yeah.
to respect their space.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Well, thank you for talking about it, because I know it can't be easy. So when you eventually talked to your sons about it, and it became something that you, I guess, acknowledged once again in your consciousness, how did you feel? Did it make you feel better? Did it make you feel, or did it make you feel worse? Did it bring it all back up again?
A bit of both, really, I think. I was also very worried that if I started to talk about it publicly, which obviously you know I have, that I would be seen as a victim, and I didn't want to be seen as a victim. I want to be seen as a survivor. So I now look at it as my experience is helping other women, and I know it has.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I'm really glad I've talked about it. I don't want to put it back in a box, but I don't want it to define me now. It's
Absolutely.
just,
Yeah.
it is
It's
where it is.
something that you have overcome.
Yes.
And you absolutely have overcome it. Yeah.
I've learned to be a bit smarter. I'm not quite as trusting anymore.
Yeah. Understandably so.
But while it was buried, I still was. While it was buried, I was still behaving in a very not peculiar, but over-trusting way, because I'd failed to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Funny
responding.
what the brain does, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Complete anaesthetic. Never happened.
So let's just go back then to your husband. So you had 3 young boys, and you were living in Leeds because you were working in Leeds in the week, and you were coming home at weekends, and but your marriage was under pressure.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So my ex-husband drank a lot. He drank every day. He always regarded it as a normal thing to do. But when I say drank every day, he was consuming between 8 and 10 pints of cider every day of the week. So I don't think he was ever really sober.
Right.
But there were certain days where he just seemed to take it over and above. And being away, I relied on him to do an awful lot of things for the boys,
kids,
going to parents' evenings occasionally, making sure that they got to places. And more I was starting to discover that he wasn't actually doing that, or that he turned up to some parents' evenings drunk and stuff like that. It was a huge shock to me. So it all came to a head. I was up in Leeds. I'd actually taken a weekend to spend up there with some friends and do some work stuff. And I got a call to say that he'd been done for drink driving, and that was the catalyst for me to finally end it. Up until then, I was kind of managing. My dad had spoken to me and said, you know your husband's a drunk, right? I was going, yes, I do know, Dad, but I don't want to break up a relationship. The boys need their dad and stuff. But actually, as I've spoken to my sons, I know all in their 30s and adults, they've actually said, you know, some of this they wish they hadn't gone through. The things that I thought were better for them to manage with, I think in looking back, I possibly should have done something earlier. But for me, I had to get to that point where I thought there was no other alternative but to end the marriage. And I'm really pleased to say that since then I've met a wonderful man, and Adi and I have been together for nearly 20 years, we realised, with a shock. So I've been remarried now for a little while, and it's just wonderful. 15 years, yeah. So again, there's always a positive that's come out of anything that I've had.
And, you know, children are so resilient, and even when they, in fact, in some ways, I think friction and challenge helps them become better adults and be better able and equipped to deal with tough times when they get older. And look, we're all doing the best we can at any given moment, right? And sometimes we make good choices and sometimes we don't. So the great thing is, I know you're now incredibly happy, and I've met Adi, and I just think you're the most vivacious couple. Like, you're so full of life and full of love, and it's wonderful to see. And you've got an amazing relationship with your 3 sons. So, you know, all of these things have led you to this place, right? So
yeah, because sadly my ex-husband has dementia. He's in a home now. He has no recollection of very much at all. He doesn't know he's a granddad. It's really sad. But Adi is such a positive and powerful influence on my sons. They adore him. He's ex-armed forces, so he comes with all that discipline and regiment that goes with it. And the boys are...
So how does that work with you? Because you're, I would say, the complete opposite of that. How does that dynamic work?
It's funny because Adi and I have both done insight psychometric profiling for ourselves. And we are, weirdly enough, both sunshine yellow.
Right, yeah.
So he was a staff sergeant in the army, and he did he did some incredible stuff. But he's actually a huge extrovert, and he loves a party too, which is why we work so well together. And he doesn't, the only thing he runs regimentally is keeping his stuff safe. I'm not allowed to move his stuff anywhere, because in the army he was done, if you've lost it, it's your fault. Or damage it. So everything that he has, so we have an AD drawer. We have 80 bits in the house, which are only his, and I can't touch.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's called compromise,
But
right?
but the rest of it, in terms of getting people to go with him, he's very inspiring. He's very charismatic.
He is.
And people feel safe around him, and that's all the reasons why I was attracted to him in the first place. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing that you've found your person. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I can't imagine not having him in my life, to be honest.
So tell me a little bit about then your future, Claire, because you won't mind me saying, I'm sure, that you are now a very vivacious and incredible 64-year-old and still working hard, busier than ever, you know, impacting so many people, doing a brilliant job. What do you see for your future from a career perspective? Let's go.
So I'm beginning to recognise that I do have some limitations. That my adrenaline buzz is not quite as strong as it was, say, in my 30s. Though in my head, I'm still only...
we're all grateful for that, to be honest. Good God.
I still feel about 25 in my head. I still don't want to go to bed when the party's going on. And I still occasionally drink too much, as many people will testify. But I do recognise that I can't travel quite as intensely as I used to. So I would like to wind down because, and I'm very honest about this, because of the way I had to divorce my ex and his situation, I still have a mortgage. So there is a reason financially that I have to work, on top of the fact that I love to work. I would like to write a book. I've spoken to a few people about it, and there'll be one about my life outside of work, which would be equally just as funny, I guess. And I'd also like to write some workbooks that people will find useful as well. So I'd like to do that. I have had a joke with somebody, a dare, about doing some stand-up. I kind of love to do that.
Oh my, you'd be brilliant
I
at that.
would love to do stand-up. So I might get round to doing that one day. But I think for me, it's just travel and enjoying my granddaughters. And I desperately want to spend more time with them. Every day that I see them, I'm just reminded of how magical it is being a grandparent. It's blown my mind how much I love those girls. And not to say that I don't adore my sons, because of course I do. They're my life.
Girls are just different, aren't they, as well? Especially when they're grandchildren.
Yeah. I mean, literally, when you've got my sort of younger one saying, Nana, it's been so complicated and I've been baking all day. No idea. And she's only 3, you know. So I want to have some of that I want to have some of that quality time and to just see the world. So we go off to Costa Rica this year.
Amazing.
We've been to Vietnam, Cambodia. We've been to Kenya. We're just trying to, all the things that when Eddie had a stroke, we said, we're going to do it now. And
Yeah.
that's what my dad told me.
Yeah.
So I want to do it all. I want to
Yeah.
do it all now.
So you're not putting your feet up anytime soon
No,
then, basically?
absolutely not. No. In the next quarter, I think I'm
man.
visiting every single corner of the United Kingdom.
Amazing.
So no, definitely not.
Claire, I could talk to you all day, and I knew this would never be enough time. And as I said, you are definitely the queen of reinvention, because and we've only literally scraped the surface of some of the big things that have happened in your life. I can't finish this conversation without asking you two questions. One is, as we've touched on at the start, you've been a member of the WiEA community for a very long time. You have been in this industry also for a much longer time. What impact do you think WiEA is having on the industry?
I'm going to say literally it is enabling, but it's more than that, inspiration. It's the belief I can. In our leadership groups, it's getting people to stand up and say, I'm really good at. We are self-deprecating as a sex, but it's easier for us to actually say we can't do something because we're scared of either failing or letting down another bit of our life. And I think that's the thing, is that if you look and say, what are our priorities? For us who are mums or carers, there's lots of carers out there as well, there are challenges, and we will always put something first before ourselves. So getting women to say it's okay to occasionally to be selfish, I think that's really good. Recognising the opportunities out there, that there are opportunities that they maybe didn't think they were good at. Without those people that came into my life and said, you're really good at, I probably would never have had the confidence to do the stuff that I've done. So I believe that my success has been by surrounding myself with the most positive people who've believed in me and want me to succeed. And I think WiEA does that. As a group.
Cheerleaders, for each other. I think that's so important. And the point that you make, Claire, about we make choices not to do something for ourselves because we don't want to let down another part of our life, that is so prevalent. I see that so much. And we've got this misconception, or some people have this misconception, that you have to be good at everything. It is not possible.
No.
We cannot be good at everything all of the time, but sometimes it's okay to let some things be less of a priority in order for us to get fulfillment and satisfaction and feel like we're adding value, we're bringing the best of ourselves as well.
100%.
So I think it's so important, that message. Thank you. And the final question, as always, is who would you like to see in this chair in the future?
There are so many people that I think, funny enough, I would say Russell.
Okay, great nom.
He lost his first wife to breast
did.
cancer,
I remember.
but he's tirelessly raised money for charity ever since.
From Macmillan.
He's a wannabe rock star, and he really believes in women, and he's always raised the most extraordinary team in his office to be the best they can be. So I can't think of a better guest than you to talk to Russell.
And of course, they've just also sold their business as well.
Yes.
Which I think it's a brilliant nomination, and I really hope he will join us. So we're coming for you, Russell. Claire, as ever, always an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Please like, share, tell your friends. We'd love to see you join us for even more episodes of the WiEA Pod. Thank you.